By the third week, Daniel stopped telling himself the footsteps were normal. At first, he had blamed the building. Old pipes, thin walls, bad insulation. Every apartment building in Chicago made noise at night. That's what he kept repeating to himself every time he woke up at exactly 2:13 a.m. to the sound of footsteps directly above his bed. Slow footsteps, measured, back and forth, back and forth. The problem was simple. Daniel lived on the top floor, 3 floors, apartment 3B. Nothing above him except the roof. At least that's what the landlord had said. The first few nights, he ignored it. He'd moved into the building after his divorce because it was cheap, quiet, and close to downtown. The place itself wasn't terrible. Old hardwood floors, exposed brick walls, narrow hallways that smelled faintly of dust and radiator heat. The kind of building that felt permanently stuck in another decade. But every night at 2:13, the footsteps started. Always the same pattern. Bedroom, hallway, pause, bedroom again. Never faster, never slower. Like someone pacing through an apartment directly above his. Daniel finally complained to the landlord after the 10th night. The old man stared at him strangely from behind the office desk in the lobby. "You sure it's above you?" he asked. "Yes," Daniel said. "I'm not imagining it." The landlord hesitated before nodding slowly. "Old buildings settle at night." "That sounds like a person walking." The landlord forced a smile that looked more uncomfortable than reassuring. "You get used to it." That answer bothered Daniel more than the footsteps themselves, because it wasn't really an answer. Things got worse after that. A few days later, Daniel noticed water dripping from his bathroom ceiling around midnight. Just a slow, steady drip into the sink. He called maintenance, but when they opened the ceiling panel the next morning, the pipes were completely dry. "No leak," the repairman said casually. "But there was water." The man shrugged. "Maybe condensation." Then he left quickly, like he didn't want to continue the conversation. That same night, the footsteps returned. 2:13 a.m. Exactly. Daniel sat upright in bed this time, listening carefully. Bedroom, hallway. Pause. Then something new. Dragging. A heavy sound across the floor above him. He grabbed a broom handle and hit the ceiling hard. The noise stopped instantly. Silence filled the apartment for about 10 seconds. Then, 3 slow knocks came from above him, directly over his bed. Daniel didn't sleep the rest of the night. Over the following week, small things around the apartment started feeling wrong. Kitchen cabinets he didn't remember opening. A dining chair slightly pulled away from the table. Once, he found his bathroom mirror cabinet open with all the medication inside, rearranged neatly by height. He told himself stress was making him paranoid. Until he noticed the neighbors. The woman across the hall stopped making eye contact with him entirely. An older tenant named Mr. Grady abruptly ended conversations whenever Daniel mentioned hearing noises upstairs. And every single resident seemed exhausted. Dark circles under their eyes. Slow movements. Irritable behavior. Like nobody in the building was sleeping anymore. One night, Daniel stepped into the elevator and noticed something strange immediately. There were 4 buttons, not 3. And above them, a button labeled 4 with no light behind it. Daniel stared at it for several seconds. He had used that elevator dozens of times. He would have noticed a 4th floor button before. An older woman standing beside him saw where he was looking, and immediately pressed the 3 button repeatedly. "That one doesn't work," she said quickly. Daniel looked at her. "There is no 4th floor." Her face tightened slightly. "There used to be." The elevator doors opened before he could ask anything else, and the woman exited almost immediately without another word. That night, Daniel searched the building online for the first time. Most of the records were ordinary. Construction permits, ownership changes, maintenance violations stretching back decades. But buried inside an archived newspaper article from 1981, he found something strange. Murder-suicide in downtown apartment building. The article described a man named Elliot Vale who had barricaded himself and his family inside a fourth-floor apartment during a severe winter storm. Neighbors reported hearing arguments for days before police finally forced entry. They found Elliot dead alongside his wife and daughter. But one detail stood out. According to witnesses, tenants continued reporting sounds from the apartment for weeks afterward, despite the entire fourth floor being sealed during renovations. The article ended there. No explanation. Daniel barely slept afterward. At 2:13 a.m., the footsteps started again. This time, he didn't stay in bed. He walked into the hallway. The entire building felt unnaturally quiet. Then he noticed something impossible. Water. A thin trail of dark water running along the hallway ceiling toward the far end of the building, toward the locked maintenance door beside the stairwell. Daniel followed it slowly. The footsteps above him continued the entire time. Bedroom, hallway, pause, bedroom again. He reached the maintenance door and realized the padlock hanging from it was broken. Recently broken. His pulse quickened. The door creaked open easily. Behind it sat a narrow staircase, leading upward into darkness. Daniel stared at it for several seconds, then slowly climbed. The air grew colder with every step. The smell changed too. Dust, mold, something faintly rotten underneath it all. At the top of the staircase, he found another door. Apartment 4B. The paint was peeling badly, but the number remained visible beneath the layers of age. Daniel's chest tightened, because directly beyond the door, he could still hear footsteps. He pushed the door open slowly. The apartment inside looked frozen in time. Furniture covered in dusty sheets, wallpaper peeling from the walls, old family photographs scattered across the floor, and water dripping steadily from the ceiling. The footsteps stopped. Silence swallowed the room completely. Then Daniel noticed the family photos. Every picture showed the same man, Elliot Vale. But in every photograph, Elliot's face had been scratched out violently, all except one, a final photograph sitting alone near the hallway, a family portrait. Wife, daughter, and Elliot. Except Elliot's face wasn't scratched out anymore. It had changed into Daniel's. A loud creak sounded behind him. Daniel turned slowly toward the dark hallway inside the apartment. At first, he saw nothing. Then, movement. A figure standing at the far end of the corridor. Tall, unnaturally thin, head tilted slightly sideways, watching him. Water dripped steadily from its fingertips onto the wooden floor. Daniel backed toward the exit instinctively. The figure took one slow step forward, and from somewhere deep inside the apartment came the sound of a child laughing softly. Then the footsteps began again. Bedroom, hallway, pause. Except this time, they were happening inside the room with him. Daniel ran, down the stairs, through the hallway, back into his apartment, slamming the door shut behind him. The footsteps continued overhead until sunrise. The next morning, the maintenance staircase was gone. Not locked. Gone. Just a solid brick wall where the door used to be. The landlord denied any fourth floor had ever existed. The tenants stopped speaking to Daniel completely after that. And every night at exactly 2:13 a.m., the footsteps still begin above him. Slow, measured, back and forth. Like something is still pacing inside apartment 4B, waiting for him to come back upstairs.